happy Monday. You made it through the first day of the week, and we have made it to a new live stream right here on Longbox Punk. That's me. I'm Chris. I'm the Punk, and I am joined by a fellow Rolling Squid Bones creator. I got Brayden over here. Brayden, thanks for hanging out with me, man. I'm so glad that this worked out, that we were able to get you in on the stream.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, good to be part of Rolling Squid Bones and good to be here.
Nice. Actually, let me do this. Woo!
There we go. Chad.
That's right.
Somewhere in the universe, Chad is just cheering.
We'll make it super RSB official this time around. So we're going to get into the comic that you're currently kickstarting called Sketch Night.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to get into just where the story came from, all of that stuff, your experience as an indie creator. But first, I always like starting with an origin story because that feels like it starts first on everything. So like, how did you get into comics and how did you start creating comics? Like, where did all this come from for you?
Yeah. So I originally got into comics, I want to say it was probably later than most people. I was probably like 21.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably 2018, something like that. And yeah, I really gravitated. I mean, obviously you do your Spider-Man as you do. Yeah. As one does, but really gravitated towards the indie comics. Really is kind of what shot to me on the shelf. So like your Southern Bastards, your like Deadly Class, all that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just really fell in love with the storytelling, fell in love with the stories, and yeah, and kind of collected those for a while, and kind of just put it down. And when I mean, it's a sadder story, but when my uncle had cancer, and so just through that process, finding comics again, and you know, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you I'm not like the English class guy, or anything like that. I'd be getting 50s. The fact that I'm writing, you know, now is a shock to myself, but I thought, you know, why not give it a go? Why not give it a try and see? And really, Haven was the first one. Really, that was about honoring my uncle and modeling the detective after him, and just kind of having this like, you know, let's do that, and just fell in love with it. I think it's probably the dopamine from getting the art back from the artist, where I was just, you know, but I kind of picked up a knack for it, and just kind of flew after that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So with Haven, was that your first, like the first series that you've done?
Yeah, first series, first time I wrote anything. Yeah, first anything. So yeah, really happy with that.
That's awesome. I'm always curious, and I don't think I've ever asked anybody, but like when you go from a series like Haven that, you know, had such a personal connection with, and it was your first series, like how do you then decide the time is right to do something completely different now with Sketch Night?
Yeah. So Sketch Night kind of was born. So I was talking with Sean Wood, and this was when I was new. Didn't know anybody, and I was talking with him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I have this other series that I'm doing," while he was doing another one. I was like, "Oh, you can do more than one." I was like, "Oh, that's new information for me."
Yeah.
And really, I thought, in terms of the strength as a writer, you know, you can kind of have multiple projects on the go. And I thought to myself, I was like, do I want to do like a completely different series that's like sci-fi, you know, just completely out of the realm, or do I want to kind of build what I have going on? And so that's how I kind of developed Rook City and Sketch Night, because I wanted to build out the city. I wanted to build out Rook City. And then and so that's why Sketch Night and Haven take place at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, it like, as much as I love writing, you know, my main story, Barricade Brigade, which like I just got the update today of like books are on their way. Which I'm like, oh, finally, like I just want to get this thing fulfilled. Because I feel like I can't do creatively anything else right now. Like I'm so like, and I don't know if that's just how my brain works with, I'm a procedure person. And so,
Yeah.
knowing that the first campaign hasn't been fulfilled yet, I just can't start. Like I've tried, right, to sit down at my coffee shop. I tried at the library. I tried in my basement. Like I tried all these different places. Like, maybe I just wasn't in the right set. And every time I just stare at it and I'm like, when is my comic going to be here? Once it gets here, I got a bag and board and I got to weigh it and I got to like, and I just don't get it. That's all my brain can focus on. So how do you balance, like, are you, once you did sketch night and
Mm.
scripting for that, like, did you bounce back to Haven to work more on that? Or are you like, how do you work with balancing doing two series at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah. So with Haven and with Sketch Night, so I'm from Canada, which has its positives and its negatives. And so like a lot of the fulfillment for Haven, I have to print and I have to ship through the US, or else my shipping and printing rates are just skyrocketing.
Crazy. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's only getting worse too.
Yeah,
It's only getting worse.
yeah, no doubt. But yeah, so I work with Lunar Studios and they fulfill. But yeah, really, so like Sketch Night and Haven are kind of like my children at this point. And so I do bounce back. I'm actually working on Sketch Night 2 and Haven issue 2 right now. So
Okay.
yeah, those are being made, and I'm super excited for what those have in them. But yeah, that has been a thing of just, I think I got bit by a bug. You know what I mean? Like the creative bug where I'm just like, I had to stop myself from doing like too many projects where
Yeah.
I'm just like, and I always say it comes down to I was never super good at anything. You know what I mean? I was like a 5'8" Filipino man that wanted to be like a basketball player when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was not going to be in the cards for me
Yeah.
um at any level. But no, and then yeah, like I found comics, I found writing, and I feel like I'm not the worst at it. And I fell in love with the process of finding the artist and collaborating and getting the pages. And
Yeah.
so for me, yeah, Haven and Sketch Night are kind of like my two right now. But we're also doing like one shots, like so for me, like building on Rook City, the question, and like even like the new Daredevil show, right?
Mhm.
Born Again, right? So some people have been like, "Where's Spider-Man?"
Yeah.
Hey, New York on this whole lockdown. Where's Spider-Man at? And so I built these one shots, which is very more hands off for me. Like like the first one shot is by Travis Gibb, and the second one shot is by Sean Wood. And really for me, I just contracted them out to write it. I still communicated with my artists and stuff to get the pages done and everything there. But
Sure.
for me, that was like, let me fill out Rook City with not just my stories or my voice, but with other people as well. And so I always got something on the go. It's a fun time. It's hectic as all hell, but it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chris brings up a great thing of just calling out the, like, I feel like I'm not the worst at it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Yeah.
perfect attitude.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well,
Because
exactly, right?
like the imposter syndrome
Mm.
and creating stuff only to then once it's done, you look at it and you're like, is this good? Did I just waste all my time doing this thing? Or like, or the opposite end of like you finish and you're like, I just crushed the script. Like, this is the best thing ever. And then you read another comic and you're like, oh, there's
Yeah.
a lot in that comic that they do to tell stories that I didn't even know were a thing. Okay, humble pie. Like
Mhm.
I love that line though. Like I feel like I'm not the worst at it. So, at least there's
Yeah.
that, like, you're not setting yourself impossibly high. Like I'm gonna be the best writer of all time and I'm gonna go down with the likes of Claremont and Stan Lee and like no, I'm not gonna be the next Chris Claremont. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like that's
Right.
fine. But I can still make some cool stuff. And I love that you're bringing in other writers to write stories in, like, you're letting them play in your sandbox. Was it
Yeah.
hard for you when you had that first idea to like embrace that, or were you like, no, like come on, I want to see what you do with my sand?
Yeah, no, I was super pumped to do it. I was super pumped to do it just because I found it super interesting. Like I would give them like guidelines or whatever, like, oh hey, like, superheroes in this world are called enhanced, and they, have mutations, and so it's not really like, there's not gonna be like a bug or a meteor. It's gonna be like, you know, that, right? It's gonna be
Yeah.
very X-Men-y. And I kind of gave them a feel for the temperature of the city, and kind of what's going on in it. But I set these one shots in different districts, and I basically told them, I said, hey man, like anything that, and I always pair two writers together. So for instance, like Sean and Travis are together in their own district. That way, I'm like, hey, if you guys want anything you guys want to happen in this district, happens. You know what I mean? Like, talk with each other, see what you guys want to do. And they
That's
were very, yeah, and they were very much, and it's not giving too much away. They were very much like, we want like this, like, we want like the crime of it all, and like we want like the hecticness of it all and the chaos of it all. And so like their one shots are very much that. Like Travis's um takes place during a raid
okay.
on an apartment, which is super dope. And then Sean's is like um this like reformed enforcer that like gets back into it to take down his former like just like stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and no, I'm super pumped to have. I'm even talking with writers now where I'm like, hey, what if we did like a like the Brotherhood and X-Men thing, and what if we just did like our take on that and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, just because I know that I can't tell all the stories or ideas, or I might not even be the best equipped to come up with these different stories or ideas. So yeah,
Mm.
why not hand them off to other people, and get more of a community feel to it all.
I love that, dude. I selfishly, like, I'm gonna steal that idea because I think
Yeah,
that's so
please,
dope. Like,
please, yeah,
that's
yeah.
such a cool, like, you mentioned the collaboration with an artist and,
Mhm.
coming up with the story. And oftentimes, I've heard and my own experience of like, I have one thing in vision, and then you get those pages back, and it's like, oh, that's so much better. Like, that's so much better than what
Yeah,
I had in my
yeah,
head. And you're right, like that dopamine rush is exactly why I love creating, because I just do the writing. I'm not doing all of this. Like, I don't do sequential art.
exactly.
That's not
Yeah,
my wheelhouse. That's totally fine. But seeing my words and these characters that I helped create come to life and like actually have features that I'm like,
yeah,
oh, look at their ears. Like, like something
yeah,
that
yeah,
simple is just like, oh, it's so rad. Like, you gave them tattoos. This is
yeah,
so
yeah,
sick.
yeah,
So
for sure.
being able then to say like, hey, this is my city, come play, like this is your whole district. Like, that's such a
Mhm.
cool thing to do. Is it just something that you like wanted to do? Like, how the hell did you think to even start doing that and doing the one shots, bro? Like, that's so smart, because then
Yeah.
if it works, you're like, cool, let's bring you back and do some more. If it doesn't, you're like, good one shot, what are you doing?
Don't set me up like that. Some people are gonna be like, why aren't you bringing me back? I
Listen,
thought,
if you don't call Sean again,
yeah.
I will totally take the brunt of, like, he's been on the show before. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll be like Chris Center first. No, um,
Obviously, you're gonna have all of these writers back
yes, of
all the
course, of
time.
course.
Yeah,
No, it will
forever.
be
Yeah, yeah,
a continual thing.
yeah.
In the wheelhouse. Yeah, so the idea of the one shots and everything there was, I really wanted, because I had this long timeline for Haven and Sketchline. They're going to be 12 issues. So I know that I'm going to be doing it for a while. And so I was like, that's super, super cool. But there's other stories in the city that deserve to be told, and
Mm,
and even fleshed out, really. The same way that you said, like, collaborating with an artist, tattoos, and yeah, I even have it where like an artist comes back and like the sketch night design.
Yeah.
I had a completely different idea for a sketch night. It was originally we are gonna play a lot more into like the night focus of it all,
Okay.
and stuff like that, and whatnot. And he was like, "What if we just went a little darker with it?" And came back with those, and I was like, "Hey, well, you're right, you're right."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But then collaborating with different writers, it's super cool because they come up with things that I just couldn't have thought of or didn't have thought of, or even maybe just like storytelling in a different way that I don't.
Yeah.
And so that was super cool. And when I started Haven and Sketchnote, I wanted it to be their story, but I also wanted it to be a story about the city. And that's why like the timelines are so close, is because when the city that you get on issue 1 is going to be a very different city when you get to issue 12, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted other people to experience that, and to add to that. Yeah, and it's nice that you know another focus of that too was, I have Haven Sketch Night and 2 one-shots, and then I'm going to collect those into, I call it the Rook City volume. And so
Okay.
it's everything that is going on in that city, collected. And when I started with Haven Sketch Night, I wanted there to be a lot of connective tissue,
Hmm.
and like crossovers and stuff like that. But the issue when you do crossovers in comics, at least I found, is like, for instance, you could be reading like Radiant Black, right? And they could have a crossover with Rogue Sun, but because you didn't read that Rogue Sun one, you miss out, right, on
Yeah.
either context or a cool moment or whatever. And so collecting everything into the Rook City volume, allows me to place everything and go, okay, this is everything that's happening in the city, and you get all of it,
Yeah.
right? And instead of doing like a volume with just one series, you get a volume of the city.
Mhm.
And it's a little, I think I'm trying something new out, so we'll see it. We'll see how well it goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, so far so good.
Dude, that's the beauty though with doing indie comics, is like you can try stuff out, and if it doesn't work, like, okay, just do it different next time and then see if that
Yeah,
works. And like there's always, you don't have the board of fancy people with ties on that make decisions because they have money saying like, oh, you can't, why would you can't do that? No, we only collect this or this. You can't just, and you're like, no, it's my stuff. Like it's all going to be the Rook City. It's all together. And here, like as a completionist, I love that you're doing that, because
yeah,
I like, that's why I fell out of love
mm,
with like modern Marvel comics, is all the crossovers involve like 9 titles. I
yeah,
don't have time and money to chase down 9 titles and try and get them chronologically and keep up with it every week. Like my local comic shop is 40 minutes away. I don't
yeah, sure,
have
sure.
time every week to go there and get it. And like I want to keep up on it, but at the same time, like if I'm going to miss stuff, then I'm just not going to read it. And so that's what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Then I wait for like the massive, 1100 page omnibus. I'm looking at you, House of M, that like that has everything and it's
right.
all collected. And I just have to wait till, I'm given gift cards and stuff for Amazon, and then I order it from Amazon.
And then you do that, right? Well,
But then I have it.
yeah,
And like I can read the whole story in, 9 years because I'm a slow reader. And there's, as much as I love having those books on my shelf, I also take forever to read them. Like the last one I
mm,
did was the Just Imagine Stan Lee's reimagining of all the DC heroes.
oh, okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like the massive, it's a thick boy, 2 C's on that one. And like it, I loved it, right? And I love seeing how a different creator approached a completely different universe. Like I don't know how that didn't break the entire comics industry when it happened, because it's such a like, DC did what? They hired the guy that started Marvel. like to do
Yeah,
their characters, but it was so cool to read, but it took me like it's the only book I read
I
for
bet.
probably like 3 months because I just
Jeez.
like I'm just a slow, and it's like a 900-page tome.
Yeah.
I haven't even touched my Lock and Key compendium that's got the
Ooh,
whole thing. I haven't touched
Talking Key
House
is
of
good.
M. Like I am in shame for all of the books that I have that I haven't touched, honestly. But let's not shame me. Let's talk about you and Sketch Night. Give you the what's Sketch Night about? Like what's the story? What's this first issue that's kickstarting?
Yeah. So Sketch Night takes place so in Rook City, alongside Haven. And so Sketch Night follows William Wilds, who's this like senior in high school, and he's an enhanced. He's also a wheelchair user. And yeah, and he's enhanced. And a lot of the book goes into the fear of being an enhanced, of having
Mm,
people close to you that don't know, and how are they going to react. It dives into, if like Haven was like the micro, or the kind of like big look at the city, and kind of what's going on. Sketch Night is kind of like a more intimate look
okay.
at that. Yeah, and so I really wanted to tell a story that, um it's one where, you're this kid and you have these powers and you have this responsibility. At the same time, though, you have these people that are close to you. You have this job to do. You have these even powers that you don't know where they come from. It's weird. They feel dark. Um, and how do all those things balance? And so Yeah, and so the first issue really dives deep into a lot of those themes, of being accepted, and kind of finding your place, and what happens when people do find out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like perfect age to put that as a high schooler because you're doing that anyway. Like every high
Mhm.
schooler is
Yeah,
trying to figure out like who their people are, where they're going to fit in, if they want to fit in, like what they need to do to find their people. Like all of those things are already in a blender. And so to add being enhanced and being in a wheelchair, which comes with its own stigma itself, like that's crazy, man. Like, is that premise like something that you just kind of came up with? Like, do you have a relative that is wheelchair bound, or like where did that come from?
yeah. So I'm a disability support worker.
Okay.
So yeah. So like a lot of it is my life, and the people I interact with every day, and see, and I really wanted representation there. That, and to do it respectfully,
Yeah.
to have that representation, of these groups of people, and to have it where, it's an element, but it's not the main focus. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
here's this person with, different facets of personality, of interests, of fear, and love, and hate, and they just so happen to be in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
yeah, and so it was, one of those choices where I knew that I had to go in thoughtfully, with it, but it was one that I definitely wanted to hit. Actually, one of my clients, when I was kind of like concepting, they were like, it'd be really cool if there was like a superhero, and they were really into drawing. And they were like, it would be really cool if there was a hero that could draw things to life. And
Mm,
I was like, how could I make that cool? And I was like, I kind of toyed around with it for a while. But now, between me and that client, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is what I got. First issue's done. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
sent it over to him, and he's all excited and stuff. And yeah. So it's
That's cool.
very, yeah, taking a lot from my life, and kind of what I see and deal with every day, and bringing it out there.
Yeah. And I feel like and there's also a can of worms of like talking about the representation aspect of it that is super easy to go into, because if done well and
Mhm,
respectfully, it isn't something that they're like browbeating you over the head with. It's
mhm,
just a facet of the character. Like it's not the defining quality. And that's like with representation, and I understand I'm a middle-aged white guy. Like I am the last person that could be having the conversation, but I only recently started really digging into my family and my history and all of
yeah,
that, and like got my tribal membership to the Abenaki tribe that my
mhm,
great grandmother was a part of. And so now, like, as I'm digging into it, I'm like, listen, I didn't grow up in the Abenaki land. I don't know what it's like to grow up in an Abenaki household. But like, if I want to include that aspect of heritage in my comic, how
yeah,
do I do so respectfully? Like, how do I
mhm,
represent it without shoving it down people's throats? And I don't want it to be stereotypical, but I also wanted to be authentic. And so in doing all of the research that I did, because I'm a research junkie, like I love learning stuff,
yeah,
and I get stuck and hyper focused. And if I find something that I'm fascinated by, it's going to be 7 hours before I'm done reading it. And then I'm like, what did I start this for? I have no idea. But now I
yeah,
know like how they treated beads.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like to tap into not just your life experiences, what you do for like your regular day job, but also like talking to your clients as well and involving them. And like that feels like the right way to nail it. And I like that you specifically said like it's just part of who they are. It's not, it like, yeah, they just happen to be in a wheelchair. And like that to me is representation done well.
mhm,
So if no one else like calls that out, let me be the one like, way to go.
yeah. No, thank you,
Good
thank
for
you.
you for
Yeah,
nailing that, because you can tell just from hearing you talk about it that it's something that like I want to be sensitive to it. I don't want to just do it to say like, oh, I have representation. And I feel
exactly.
like that's the problem, is people that
Mhm,
do it just to check a box instead of like, no, like this is a story that is just as valid as any other story that anybody else could tell. And also, I have the experience that I can be the person to tell. I was just talking last night um, on my stream with Ben of like, why is this story important and why are you the right person to tell it? And
yeah,
that very much feels like you're definitely the right person to tell that story
thank
because
you.
you have the experience. So I love that you have taken that and really run with it. Like, I know you said you planned it for 12 issues. Have you already kind of like, how do you write something that you know is going to be like a planned 12 issue run? Like, are you
Mhm.
going issue by issue? Do you already have like issue one, we do this, issue two, this is the big thing, issue three? Like, how granular or not granular are you when you're writing the whole like series of Sketch Night?
Yeah, so I'm very loose with my writing, and that's something I struggled with early on, where there was a lot of imposter syndrome that we brought up because like I do like it. I'll do it like an outline of like beats I want to hit,
Mhm.
or like flag poles that I want to reach, but I won't like map everything out. I like to keep things loose, just because, and especially collaborating with an artist. Like there are so many times where like there's something where he has like a different spin or a different perspective on it, and stuff like that. And so I want to allow there to be enough room to where things are malleable,
Mm.
without being too rigid. But to that to say, yeah, I mean, there definitely are beats I want to hit. Is a story, that I want to tell. But yeah, I don't map. I'd say everything out, and that was something that I had to like really reconcile with. But like you said, doing research and stuff, and just kind of going down the rabbit hole, I ran into an interview with Robert Kirkman. He was, and when he was writing Invincible, he's like, yeah, I didn't have everything. I mean, you can't have everything mapped out. Like, I knew of places I wanted to go with it. I knew,
Yeah.
this next event will, take this many issues and it'll lead us along here, kind of thing. And that was really like validating for me, where I was like, oh, okay, like there's method to the madness, and I'm not just like being like, hey guys, I promise, I'm a writer. You get it? I feel like we all kind of have those like self-doubts and kind of
Yeah.
everything there, but for me, I really want to get a story down that is like character driven and meaningful, and I want you to fall in love with the characters, and I want you to hate some too, and that's where it kind of goes along for those 12 issues.
That's cool. And that's definitely like, as a pro wrestling fan, that's the whole point, right? Is like,
Yeah,
you want to make the people love the people that they're supposed to love and hate the people they're supposed to
yeah,
hate. And I completely unrelated to anything, but I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games books.
yeah,
And
100%.
the one that came out about the songbirds and snakes, where it focuses on Snow when he was 18 and he was a mentor in like the 10th Hunger Games or something. Every time that Suzanne Collins would talk up, like making him human and not just this awful tyrant,
Mm,
it was like, oh, I think I am kind of rooting for him here. She would drop it where like he would do some totally despicable thing. And you're like, oh, what a piece. I can't believe she almost had. And like the whole book was that. And I loved when I finished it, I was like, she just manipulated the shit out of me. And like, I'm super okay with that because she did her job very well. And so it gives me as a writer something to like, why should they root for these characters, or why should they, boo these other characters? And so really, because everything for me is wrestling, uh, it just comes
yeah,
back
heels
to
and
like,
faces.
yeah, like how do I make my heel a really good heel? And
Yeah,
it's not just the cheap heat of, Duncan on the local sports team or whatever. Though I love every time a heel does that, because like you get the automatic booze and it's like, oh,
yeah,
okay, all right.
yeah,
But
for sure.
telling people to shut up as they're like trying to chant something, like I'm a fan of heels anyway. So I would much rather write villains than heroes, because for me it's easier. And I don't know what that says about me as a person now that I've said it out loud, but it is like, it's just more fun because you can like, villains can do really whatever they want to do. Um, and it's acceptable because they're the villain, and
Yeah,
they can be awful and it only makes them more awful. Like, I love Doctor Doom because he just doesn't like, he's evil and like through and through. I don't believe there's anything good about him except for like, he cares about his country.
yeah, Latvia, right? Yeah,
Like,
right.
he's
He's
willing to
despicable.
do, yeah, but like
Yeah,
he will murder some bitches if it means protecting Latvia. And so like that's the thing of like, he's got his own moral compass.
mm,
How do you walk that line? And so like, with all that to say, I'm Michael scouting right now where I'm figuring out what I'm going to say as I'm saying it, but with with your like the interconnected or the like shared time that Haven and Sketch Night happen,
mm.
is there something like, are you building to a big Thanos type of villain, or is it just the like the grittiness of the city itself, that where the city is more of the protagonist than anything else?
Mm. Yeah, so I'm definitely building towards a big villain and a big confrontation. Um yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give too much away, but
Sure.
uh with Haven and Sketchlight and them being connected and shared, um yeah, I am building towards this kind of climactic kind of end battle, and by the end of it, by the end of both stories. The city is gonna look very differently at enhanced. And so I definitely am. I think in both series there's gonna be seeds planted where kind of it's funny you bring up Thanos, where in each Marvel in most Marvel movies there was like the after credit scene of here's another piece right
Yeah.
of the Thanos thing, and then we finally get the
He
big
got
movie
less
where
and less purple as they progressed.
yeah, exactly, right. For sure, hey, because they probably were like, oh, we want to go a different
Yeah,
direction.
that CGI is going to cost so much money.
Yeah,
We're not going to do
exactly.
that.
Are we sure we want magenta? Um,
I'm thinking
and
more of an eggplant,
yeah,
maybe lavender even. I mean, goes with everything, you know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. The eggplant adventure. But yeah, so there will be there will be seeds, and there will be nods and hints before I whack you over the head with it and be like, this is where it is. And yeah, and I like the big climactic finish of it all.
Yeah.
And then to like start anew with something else.
Yeah. So are you already then like thinking what happens after?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm time jumping. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I'm time jumping because I think for me, like I said, the city is just as much a part of Haven and Sketchnet as anything else. So I think it's super cool at the end of Haven and Sketchnet, at the end of telling in these one shots, right? That build everything out. What do things look like 10 years later? What do things look like 20 years later? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And just being able to be like, because you followed these stories, because you followed this era of the city, the next iteration, when I jump 20 years, you're gonna get all these like little bits and pieces and all these like calling cards and kind of everything there. But it's nice because I can go, here's the Haven and Sketchnet era, and I can go, here's this new era, and it can be, a completely jumping on point of, you know 10, 20 years later, here are these different people, these different heroes, whatever. um but I can also be like, hey, if you followed along, you're gonna get so much out of what's new.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's such a smart pre-planning thing to do also, of just like knowing that that's where you're going to go, because then you can start dropping like tiny little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And I'm the again, I like writing villains. I'm the devious type that I would drop way more Easter eggs than are ever going to pay off, just so that the reader keeps wanting to come back to be
Yeah.
like, wait, but that person tripped on a piece of cheese in the second issue. Surely that piece of cheese is there's something me, and it's like, no, it's not that, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
Because I like, that's the fun too, even with the Marvel movies. And hopefully like James Gunn has already started doing that with all the DC movies too,
Mm.
of just dropping like, oh yeah, if you're paying attention, like you'll see the Wayne Corp symbol over here, or you'll
Yeah.
see, the Stark Tower that's over there. And it's not addressed, it's just there because it exists in the same world. And like, that's what MCU did incredibly well, of building to that first Avengers movie, was dropping in those tiny little Easter eggs. And like, it sets the internet ablaze, because then it's like, did you see everything's
Yeah. Yeah.
Mephisto?
Yeah.
And,
Well, exactly. Well, exactly. Right. And
and
that's
that's the
that's
fun.
yeah. That's 100%. And growing up, I mean, with that and what Iron Man was and what Captain America was and all that and building towards that, yeah, like that was cool. You know what I mean? Like that's for me starting out and everything. Like as much as I was like, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Um, I also looked at what do people fucking hate about and you said before like a million different continuities and
Yeah.
events that cross over all these different, you know what I mean? And it's like I get why they do it,
Sure.
as like these two companies and a machine and everything else, but it doesn't make for super great storytelling a lot of the times. Like
Yeah.
it makes for great advertisements for
Totally.
different series and events and all this, but and so I think that's what's super special about indies is you get that, almost like manga-esque, like you start at issue 1, you end at issue 12, here's
Yeah.
the story. And for me it's like, how can I make this, like, because that's so fun where it's like the stakes are real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if I ever kill a character off, they're dead. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing a revival. No one's coming back. They're
Yeah.
gone. Kind
There's
of
no
thing. And
time
that,
displaced character coming
yeah,
back
no,
to
no time travel. Fuck time travel. We're not doing any of that. And for me, it is it's an exercise on restraint, right? Because I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I can't, issue 1 just be like, okay, this character's dead or anything like that. But
Yeah.
it's one of these things where it's like, I want the audience to know, like, yeah, like this has stakes. This has and people will die, and there will be times where I do pull that trigger, and that's super fun storytelling from a writer perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And choosing like who dies, why they die. And like there's stuff that I've written that I get to the end of it and I'm like, the ending is I have to kill everybody. Like they all have to die. That I
Yeah,
just spent like this whole story building in and like explaining the characters and all this stuff. And I get to the end and it's like the only way that this can make sense is if they have to die. And
yeah, oh
like
yeah,
it's the swerve of the intention of like you think that we're building this one story, but
mm,
then by killing everybody, you actually realize like, oh, that wasn't the story at all. They were just part of this other story
yeah,
that was happening right there in front of everybody. But like, I love stuff like that, and
yep,
I know it can get like the M Night Shyamalan thing, where you get this whole movie, and then an hour and 40 minutes into it, you're like, they're scared of plants. Like, come on, bro. This is not this ain't it, bro. Like, no.
mm,
But then you watch The Village and you're like, oh my God, this
yeah,
is a
yeah,
real
yeah, yeah,
world. Like,
yep,
what?
yep, yep. It
And
blows your mind.
yeah, it just is
Mhm.
so good. Like, it's the storytelling thing of when it's done well, it's really, really good. And like hopefully it doesn't just be like cheap and like cheap heat and then like, oh yeah, we're definitely killing him this time
Yeah,
until we bring him back because everybody was shocked that we killed him.
yeah. Batman dies for the 99th time.
Yeah, remember that time you killed Wolverine and said that this time it was real when
Yeah.
he stayed dead for all of like a month and a half? Like, you already had those books printed in your warehouse, Marvel. It's
Yeah.
it's
Well,
fine.
and it's one of those things too where it's kind of, it is the double-edged sword. It is kind of like the gift and the curse of, these companies are so big where they need those IPs to stay alive.
Yeah,
Which, hey man, great for money. Hey, you're
I
printing more
mean,
money
they
than
got
me,
all
that's
of
for sure.
mine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah, I
But
got
at the same time,
yeah.
it at the same time, it hinders kind of this special. And I think I hear a lot of comics people, and I never read comics in the 90s or anything like that. God knows I wasn't alive for it, but you
You just made
know
my back hurt.
um but people always kind of harken back and like, man, that was like there was something special about that era. There was something special about the stories being told. Or do you remember when it was the first time that this happened, or
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And I think modern comics, well, in terms of like, I mean, you have like your Image and Mad Kid, but like in terms of like Marvel DC, I think it's lost a level of kind of like that specialness
Yeah,
that it had before. And I think that's where indies, and I think we're gonna start to see too, like indies like Image, like Man Give Hill, like us, come in and really fill that void that I think, at the end of the day, when you're done reading Superman, and he does, gets hit with the kryptonite for the 1 millionth time, you're gonna go, you know what, that Invincible story. And I think that's why Invincible blew up as much as it did too, because people are like, oh, this is different.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, and so it's a blessing, and and also my greatest anxiety to make stories in this space.
Yeah. Yeah, it is too, like, there is something you mentioned, like there's real stakes. Like it
Hmm.
having real stakes and being upfront about like, hey, we're not doing the like resurrection, the time travel, the magic, the whatever arcs. Like this is how it is. It's a one it like if they die, they're dead. Period. Like we move on, they're not coming back. And knowing that as a reader, suddenly like in Superman, right? And it's because of the 90s that like they killed Superman and then they brought him back. And killing him was such a monumental thing to do because there wasn't really
Yeah,
kryptonite involved. It was just Doomsday beating the ever living shit out of him.
yeah.
And like me in junior high loved it. That was my favorite Superman book, was the death of Superman. Because and like the whole final issue when he actually dies is all splash pages. Like I didn't realize it at the time. I just pulled it out because I've shown my wife, like, yeah, like this comic. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh my God, every single page is a splash page. There are no panels. It's
Hmm.
just single page art, single page art. Like that's how
Yeah,
big that fight was. And like, which only even makes me like it even more, right? Like
yeah.
it's just like, oh, it's so effective. But to kill him off, everybody suddenly was like, uh, what? Like he's the god of DC. Like he's always there. Nothing
100%.
like you can't kill Superman.
Mm.
And so then suddenly having the like world without Superman, I would have loved if they had let that linger for like
Mhm.
8 months, right?
Yeah,
Like just let people sit in the suck of
yeah.
like, he's dead. Wait, he's still dead? Like, what do you mean? And they did that when they killed off Robin, the second one, not Dick, Tim Drake.
Tim
No.
Drake.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
then
Tim Drake.
yeah, he came back and ended up being the Red Hood. When they killed
Oh,
Robin,
Jason Todd. Jason
Jason
Todd.
Todd. There, I was like, that still doesn't. Yes, Jason
Yeah,
Todd.
no, yeah, Red Hood. I was like Jason Todd.
There it is. We got there. We know
Oh yeah,
comics.
yeah, comic fans. Anyway, we're only writing them. You know, no big deal.
Yeah, it's fine. I comic. You know what I mean? The when they killed Robin, it was such a spectacular thing of like, I can't believe they killed him. And they let the fans decide, which is insane. And they just killed him and he just was gone. And they let him die and be dead for years until it was like 8 years later that someone was like, that Jason Todd guy, what if he didn't die? And what if he comes back and he's real just emo, angsty, angry? And like they leaned into the early 2000s, which I know you were like in diapers probably.
Yeah,
We were angry and angsty in the early 2000s,
I
and
feel
some
it.
of
I
us
feel it.
never got happy. And there was a lot to be angry about, but they were like, let's funnel that into a character. Let's bring Jason Todd back. We'll make it make sense. It didn't happen immediately. Like Batman already moved on and got a
Yeah.
new Robin, and everything was fine with Tim Drake. But
Mhm.
like to bring back Jason Todd after all those years, it felt special. To bring Wolverine back a month and a half later, it's like, guys, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
what, you're just swear. And so all that to say, in a very, very roundabout way, is I like that you already know, like, there's gonna be stakes, and we're not doing like, if people die, they're dead, period. And people will die. Like, I like that that's a thing that
Mhm.
you've already figured out,
Yeah.
because I hadn't even thought about my own comic. Like, are people gonna die? Oh gosh. Oh no, like are we gonna kill them? Because it can be really effective as like a storytelling technique
Yeah.
to rally the troops, to the bond through suffering, like whatever you want to call it. It can be super effective if it's done well. It's just choosing like, how do you do that and how do you pull it off? So speaking of how you do things and how you pull it off, you're doing a cross promotion with a good friend of the show,
Mhm.
a fellow Rolling Squid Boneser. I don't want to say
Bones,
rolling.
can we be called the Bone? Chad, can we be called the Bonesers?
Are we the
Uh,
Bonesers? Or
are we the Bonesers now?
please don't say we're the Boners, because that'd be
No.
awful. We're the Rolling Squid Boners. No,
Yeah,
that's
you said that, and I feel like he went. Yeah, that's what it is. Now.
yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But you and Gerald, who just launched his
Mm.
own campaign today,
Yes. Yeah.
shout out to Gerald for just making badass art. I don't know how that. I don't know when that guy
Dude,
sleeps.
he's a machine.
honestly.
A machine.
Like, and everything
my
he
goodness.
cranks out is top tier. How in
Just
the hell? I don't get it.
insanity.
Tell me about the cross promotion that you guys are doing, though.
Yeah. So, Gerald Von started. What can I say? A talent. Among the ages. But no, we are doing cross promotion. So he just launched his Immortal Coil volume. And so if you back his Immortal Coil volume and Sketch Night, you get a crossover print with both our characters. And so you have to back both of ours. At the end of both campaigns, we're gonna cross-reference everything and make it all nice and neat. And yeah, whoever's back both, you get the print. And I've seen it, and it looks pretty fucking badass, guys.
It's insane.
It looks absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And listen, I cannot, for the life of me, afford Gerald. Good God, help us all.
Right.
And you know he's a busy man. Okay, so this might be one of the only times it gets done. Okay, so if you like Sketch Night, God help you love Immortal Coil.
Okay? We already know that. Yeah,
we know that we already know that. All right. Yeah. If you back both, you get the print. It's super cool. It's super dope. Super exclusive to the Kickstarter. So yeah, that's what we got cooking. That's a Rolling Squid Boners exclusive right there, guys. On live too. Okay,
it's stuck. It's that's what we are. We're the Rolling Squid Boners. Boners unite. There's too many directions that I could go in the wrong way for that. I decked down because I thought I had Immortal Coil right here, but I must have already put it in my box because it's not right there. I was gonna be like, yeah, everybody, because it's but it's not there. And he has a Kickstarter exclusive cover, which is
I didn't even know he was gonna do that. He literally was like, I think a couple days ago was like, boom, yeah, no, Kickstarter exclusive cover, and I went, oh my God. That's insane.
Yeah, so dope. So dope. And he'll be back in November on the show when they launch a brand new series with Frank. With what's their thing? The third contact. Third
contact.
Yeah.
There we go. Comics, people. Let's go.
Pulling that out of my brain after everything I've done today is crazy. I don't know how I just did that. So I got it right, and I remembered Frank's name.
I love that.
Sorry, Frank. It's because he hasn't been on the show yet, man. Like, if you've been on the show, I remember your name. I know your own book, fault, and Frank. I know you're like it's there, but he's in so many different Discords that I'm in, and I've been following him for years anyway. And which sounds super creepy anytime except for 2025 when social media is as prevalent as it is. Oh yeah, I've been following that guy for a long time. Yeah, he's so weird at all.
Him around. Yeah,
he writes things and I pick them up and I read them and then I hand them off. No, Frank Martin's a good dude. And it's like, I think it's great that I'm just using his name more to make sure that it's
Frank Martin.
Frank Martin. He has a firsty lasty there. Third Contact Press. That's what it is. Yeah, it was that press part. I'm in a weird, I'm looking at my notes and I don't even recognize what I wrote down. So instead of trying to delay forever and figure it out, I'll just go here. I don't have any more notes, but I'm not done with you yet. There's two more things that we're going to do. The first is we're going to pose as Rolling Squid Boners. We're going to pose and I'm going to take a screenshot and use that forever as the YouTube thumbnail.
Cool.
And I really wish I've got like a figure of an octopus, but it's downstairs. And I didn't have time coming in from that stupid traffic jam. So we're going to pose as Rolling Squid Boners. And I'm going to take the screenshot. I'll count us down here in 3, 2, 1. One more. Safety. All right. And then the other thing that we're going to do is something you're going to do. I'm going to stop talking and let you have the floor because I love doing this show and talking to indie creators that have all different walks of life and experiences and perspectives. And, we're born a decade and a half after I was. That's fine. But I love having the wider range of people on the show because everybody brings their own unique voice, and to celebrate those voices, at the end of every show, I like to stop talking and turn over the floor. So if there's anything you want people to know, this could be a sales pitch on like, hey, go to the Kickstarter that's linked in the description below and back sketch nights. It could be something like, why you think Gerald is the best and only person that can pull off the clear framed glasses. I don't know what context you want to use. And I don't care. I just want you to have some space to be able to share whatever message you want to deliver directly to people. So I'll stop fumbling and let you have the floor, my friend.
Cool. Yeah, what I would say is if you are interested in if you're interested in different types of superheroes, if you're interested in character driven stories, I do have a sketch night available for Kickstarter. No big deal. Yeah, it's around. It's a thing that happens.
Super chill.
Yeah, super. We're buddies. We're friends. You and I. But it's live, so that's cool, and I like making it. Unfortunately, there's this thing called money where you need it to make it, I guess. Who knows?
Yeah.
All the books do get finished before the Kickstarter goes live, so the book's done. You know what I mean? Get it quickly. We're working on sketch issue 2, so get that quicker. Who knows? Other than that, though, I do want to say, like, hey, if anyone's out there that's like, hey, I really like this conversation, and I think that I would like to make comics, but that seems super daunting and hard. Listen, I'm an idiot, okay? I'm not the smartest man in the world, God knows it, but I did it, okay? I'm doing it semi well, okay? so if you have an inkling, if you have a spark, if you have this creative thing. Listen, there's going to be things that happen where people say it's super hard to get into this industry, or what I mean. I've heard many times comics don't make money, throughout the times, and I'm still trying to find it. But
if you find it, let me know.
but it's one of those things where if you want to create, if you think that this is your niche, if you think this is your spark or your thing, the thing that I am never happier than when I write, or when I get a page back, when I get a series, an issue completed. It's been some of the happiest moments of my entire life. I've met some of the greatest people I think I've ever met in this space, bar none. So if you have that, if you feel like that this might be that path, or whatever that path is for you, don't let people tell you that it's too hard. Don't let people discourage you. Try it out and just do it. And it's not going to be perfect because nothing ever is, but you will get better and you will improve, and you might fall in love with something. Who knows?
Beautiful. I love that. I realized while you were saying that, when does the Kickstarter end? Like how long?
So it ends. We have, I think, 13 days now.
Okay.
And we are 70% funded, so we're close.
Okay.
But could be closer
with your help.
At my best friends at home that I know on a personal level. Uh,
Dial kickstarter.com/sketchnight. That's sketchnight with a K,
mm,
1.com.org.net. Don't, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Just tap the expand
mm,
episode details, tap the Kickstarter link. I have the short little link there. You don't have to read it. It's a short little
yeah,
guy. You
click
just
it.
tap it,
You
and then
know,
you'll be taken there and you can check out the
you know
campaign. You
what?
can look at the preview. You can look at the variant cover, which I love. You can, do
Thank
all the
thank
things
you.
and support indie comics and help make them come true and get some like authentic
Mm,
representation in comics come
that's
to
right.
life. Like you can get all those things so much more by supporting Sketch Nights, and most of all supporting an indie creator making comics. And that's the whole point. That's why I do the whole thing here. So Brayden, dude, this was so much fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
I
very much.
think my brain needed this emotional release. So
Hell
thank
yeah.
you.
No, it's a pleasure for me. It's a pleasure for me. So thank you.
Yeah. Hang tight. I got logistics for you. But for everybody else, if you like this, if you laughed at all, which I hope you did,
Mm,
share it with a friend or subscribe to the thing and do the stuff that YouTubers tell you. You know, the stuff that YouTubers tell you. I'm not going to say it because I don't consider myself a YouTuber. I'm just a dude that likes comics and reads them. And I think you should be the same. So, what's a good podcast without a good tagline? Here's mine. Go do what's good for you, punk, and read some indie comics because we are out of here. Mm. Mm-mm, mm-mm.